All right, so in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about the purpose of life insurance. So let's talk about what life insurance does. The basic idea behind what life insurance does is when the insured individual dies, the life insurance policy pays out the specified benefit to the designated beneficiaries. Beneficiary is just a fancy name to say the person who gets the money. So basically what's happening here is if the insured individual dies, the person who is selected in advance receives the money associated with the policy. So what's the purpose then? Why do we care about this? Well, so to really think about why we might need this, one of the things you should be asking is, well, who's left behind? So if I die, who's left behind? And that's dependent upon me. So for instance, maybe you have a spouse, maybe you have children, maybe you have a sibling with a disability, maybe you are a caregiver for your parents, etc. So the idea is to look at who exactly would I be leaving behind that my passing away would create a financial stress on them. Because obviously life insurance does not prevent you from dying, right? And life insurance is not going to prevent the emotional heartache of your death from occurring to all of your family members that you leave behind. That's not what's going on with life insurance. Life insurance is basically going to help to address the financial needs of those that are left behind. So basically, if I'm looking at the purpose of life insurance, we need to figure out, well, who am I leaving behind? Or who is the insured person leaving behind? And if the answer is, there's nobody who's financially dependent upon me, so no spouse, no kids, no siblings with disabilities that we're trying to care for, no aging parents we're trying to care for. If none of those things apply, and then basically there's nobody who's financially dependent upon you, well, okay, so if I'm not leaving somebody behind, and then maybe I don't need life insurance. Now there is still kind of a reason we might get it that I'll talk about in a moment here. All right, well, maybe there are people you're leaving behind. Maybe you have a spouse and kids that you would leave behind if you died. All right, well, then you get into that next layer, which is, well, what are the financial needs of those left behind? Well, and that depends a whole lot upon lifestyle or life cycle, where you are in your life. And we'll talk about this a little bit more in a subsequent video. But here's the basic idea. Let's suppose you are younger, you've got young kids, you and your spouse haven't been married very long. And so in that case, let's say you're the main income earner in the family. And if you pass away, it's going to be a financially bad situation for your family members that you're leaving behind. If that's the case, there are going to be high financial needs for the people you're leaving behind. And so life insurance can help to provide some resources that can enable them to get through that. On the other hand, let's suppose you are 85 and you've been retired for years. You've got a whole bunch of money still in your retirement account because you did a great job of saving and planning and investing. And so at that point, if you pass away, there's plenty of money left over for your spouse. Your kids are all grown and independent. Okay, maybe I don't really have financial needs that need to be funded for anybody I'm leaving behind. So in that case, maybe the life insurance need to be a whole lot lower. Maybe I don't need to worry about it. But you could have some other things that you might be thinking about. For instance, are there any long-term goals that need to be funded? Maybe you really wanted to donate money to an endow a scholarship at your alma mater. Okay, so if that's the case, or maybe you wanted to fund money to build a nature preserve, or a little in a neighborhood, or a little playground, or donate money to a charity, or fill in the blank. So if there was any kind of long-term goal that you wanted to fund, or maybe you wanted to donate money for your grandkids' college or something. So if there's some kind of long-term goal that would need to be funded that you don't have the money that would be left behind if you passed away, then life insurance can help with that. So if you pass away, then there's a payout. That payout could be used to fund that long-term goal, perhaps. Also, one of the things that could trigger you benefiting significantly from having life insurance would be if there is an estate that's going to be passed on to a beneficiary. So for instance, let's suppose you have a large ranch and you've got hundreds of acres, okay? And the land has appreciated a lot in value, so it's now worth a whole lot, but you're sort of, to borrow the phrase, you're land rich and cash poor. So you got a lot of land, but you don't really have a lot of cash. Well, depending upon what the estate tax rules are at the time, if you pass away, one of the situations that could occur is in at least in some point cases in the past, this has occurred, where this has triggered estate taxes that maybe your kids are going to have to pay out of your estate. Well, if you don't leave a whole lot of cash, then the question that they face is, well, now we're going to have to sell off part of the family acreage, the ranch, in order to raise enough money to pay off the estate taxes so that we can inherit the land. Well, if you do have a life insurance policy, you die, policy pays out, presto, we now have a whole bunch of cash that could be used to pay for those property taxes, and now your heirs could inherit the land without having to break it all up, for instance. So if you have something like that, some kind of an estate that would need to be passed on, that can trigger a reason why you have life insurance. So ultimately, when you're thinking about life insurance, who am I leaving behind, or who is the insured person leaving behind? What are the financial needs of the people that are being left behind? Any kind of long-term goals that that need to be funded for this person, and do we have any kind of estate that needs to be passed on to a beneficiary that having some extra liquidity would be helpful. So those are the main reasons why we would be looking at life insurance. So if you are younger, you have no dependents, no kids, no spouse, your parents aren't depending upon you in any way. There's nobody who's financially tied to you in that sense. There are no financial needs of the people left behind. You're not trying to accomplish any kind of long-term goal. You aren't passing on a estate because you're young and broke. Well, in that case, maybe life insurance policy isn't all that necessary right now. But when you start checking off some of those boxes, well, you get married, you got kids, you've got parents who are financially dependent upon you. You've got some kind of long-term goal, paying for your grandkids' college. Maybe you do have an estate. Once you start checking some of those boxes, then this is when life insurance starts to become progressively more and more and more important and helpful. Okay, hopefully this helps you get some context for the purpose of life insurance and what kinds of factors sort of drive the need for life insurance. Thanks for watching and have a great day.